Think that you can't hold your preschool class outside the majority of the year because state licensing rules require temperatures to be controlled between 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Think that your child care insurance won't let you venture into a forest because there aren't any fences. Or think that your program administrator might have reservations about you taking children into an uncontrolled environment. Think again. I'm Nicole Dervillis-Fravel, and this is Wildwood Teaching. And today I'm going to give you 4 possible solutions to overcoming licensing and insurance objections to having a nature-based preschool program or just taking your class and giving it a little bit of nature-based injection. So in November, I presented at NACCE's annual conference in Anaheim. I love going to conferences because I always leave super energized with new ideas and just the feeling that there are others out there that are in the same boat I am, going the same direction, that there is support. And this past conference was particularly energizing and encouraging because of the sheer level of nature-based presentations and workshops. So when I started Wildwood Nature School 14 years ago, outdoor nature-based programs were relatively fringe. There weren't a lot of people doing it. And now, honestly, I could have filled all 3 days of my conference back to back with just nature-based sessions. But even as nature-based learning has become accepted practice and more mainstream as far as early childhood educators seeing the benefits of it and wanting to do it, state regulators, insurance companies are behind the times, really. One of the sessions that I attended was focused on, it was a panel discussion on fostering climate resilience in early childhood. And so the panelists described ways in which their programs were connecting children with nature, adopting sustainable practices, taking cues from local indigenous tribes and their relationships to the natural world, and as ways of addressing the challenges of climate change. And so everybody started getting excited, right? All these wonderful ways that the panelists were connecting children with nature. But of course, the question comes from the audience: how do you get licensing bodies and insurance companies to let you explore nature with children? What does your insurance company say to what you're doing? And this is the problem. Sometimes what we know is best for children isn't best for state agencies or insurance companies. Insurance companies really want to minimize risk. They want zero risk. They're risk averse because they don't want to pay out. So they really want to create a situation where there's a minuscule chance of them having to have a payout. So they set up requirements to maximize safety. And similarly, the state lawmakers and the people who make the childcare rules, they emphasize safety so that if you page through any state licensing handbook, like the set of regulations, most of those regulations are about safety, right? How many children can you have per square footage? How many adults do you need per children? You need to have a fence around your area, no access to bodies of water, and very little in there about the actual education and care side of childcare. So, obviously we nature-based educators, we want children to be safe, but we also know that learning involves a certain amount of acceptable risk, monitored closely by caring and knowledgeable teachers. We want children to be able to explore an unfenced forest, to challenge their gross motor balance and strength by walking across logs or climbing trees, to connect to nature through all of their senses, right? Their sense of touch, smell, and taste. This is the way children understand the world. So, what do you do? If you want children to have more structured experiences in nature, but are encountering resistance from licensing agencies, from insurance companies, or even from your own program administrator. So the 4 solutions that I'm going to present here today are mainly concerned with insurance companies, and that's because mainly concerned with licensing. And that's because I think they are the first domino. Right? So if you can get licensing to agree to something that you're doing, it legitimizes it in the minds of the insurance company, right? The licensing agency says this is okay, therefore it is, an acceptable thing in terms of our insurance company and program administrators who have to concern themselves with the business side of running any sort of preschool program, are more likely to give you the stamp of approval on what you're doing. All right, so solution number 1 is to find creative workarounds to any of the licensing rules. So I remember long time ago, a state licensor who was visiting my place telling me that there are always exceptions. You can always get an exception written into a rule for your particular program eventualities. So, for example, the uh, first location that I had, well, actually, neither location that I've had has a fence. And a state licensor, that particular state licensor visiting my place, said, because I said, well, I can't get licensed because I don't have a fence. And she said, well, you have a row of very dense, very tall, very large fir trees in between the property and the road that act as a natural barrier and could be considered a fence. Another example is very recently, another provider here in Oregon with me said that the state licensing agency and therefore the insurance company was not accepting their composting toilet that they had for children to use outside. And this is because the licensing agency, the insurance company, wanted it to work like a regular flush toilet, where each time a child goes to the bathroom, you deal with the waste and it goes away. So from a program standpoint, it's incredibly impractical, right? You can't empty a composting toilet every single time a child uses it, because you will be spending your entire day dealing with the toilet. From a licensing and insurance point of view, they're thinking about odors, they're thinking about attracting insects, anything that would happen before you move the compost to turning it into a compost pile. And so working together and understanding each point of view, they were able to come to a solution that everybody agreed on, which was a dry flush toileting system. And everybody was happy. So solution number 2 is to turn your outdoor time into a field trip. So it is worth mentioning that none of the programs on that NACI panel ran programs that were exclusively outdoors. They had indoor classrooms that were fully licensed, and then they had access to large natural outdoor spaces that they visited on a regular basis, depending on the program, whether that was daily or weekly, for extended time outside in nature. So in this scenario, licensing is mainly concerned with your indoor classroom and your outdoor yard space, right? Whatever you are using on a regular basis. And then you have parents sign waivers for a regular walking field trip to whatever outdoor area you're using, which could be state protected forest that is right next to the school, right? It doesn't have to be far away. And then insurance companies are also more likely to accept these field trips with a waiver. All right, solution number 3 is to partner with an organization that can legitimize your work. So what I'm suggesting is that you invite local college, local community college to come do research at your school, proving the benefits of your nature-based approach, which will give licensors a reason to work with you to find these creative solutions like the ones that we mentioned earlier. Or partner with individuals or organizations that can advocate for you. So another example right here in Oregon is a program that met at a local nature park, and there were some questions about the safety of children in their local nature park. They happened to have a state representative whose children had attended the school in the past, who went to bat for them and spoke at local council meetings and helped them get the paperwork through and get in touch with the particular people they needed to get the okay to continue to meet at that local nature park. Right. Solution number 4 is to network with other nature-based and outdoor program providers. So in both of the Oregon-specific situations above, the provider who had issues with the composting toilet, the provider who was meeting at a local nature park, their first reach out was to OLEO. And OLEO is the Outdoor Early Learning Association of Oregon, which is our network of outdoor and nature-based program providers. And so their first reach out was to us. What have you done in the past? What has worked for you? Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's learn from each other and support each other in what we're doing. And the other thing that group of people can do is what we did here in Oregon, what they did in Washington, what they did in Maryland. I think they're working on it in Colorado, is to band together to lobby the state to create licensing rules specifically meant for nature-based and outdoor programs. So your licensing rules are meant for indoor spaces, and they don't always make sense for outdoor programs. And so if you, as a group of educators, can work together to change those rules and create some rules and regulations around outdoor care, it might make it easier for you. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, right? It's still rules and it's still regulation, and they are still probably mainly focused on safety. But if you can show people the benefits, if you can work to find creative solutions, if you can band together with individuals or organizations that are willing to back your efforts, you can make it work. You can get the outdoor nature-based learning that you know is helpful for children recognized. So, what if you can't access a local network? What if your state or your local area doesn't have a nature-based network? Join ours. So for very limited time now, up until December 20th, we are offering a 15% discount on our Wild Wisdom and Wonder membership. We meet monthly. So every other month, we'll have a workshop. So January's workshop is going to be on winter outdoor science. And then on the alternating months, we have a collaboration. We just meet together as a group around a singular topic that we might be struggling with. So February's topic is really going to be dealing with outdoor weather, right? And still taking children outside and learning from each other. What are the solutions that your fellow early childhood educators have come up with? And then there will be weekly tips that get sent out to you. And you also have access to our members only website, which has a whole archive of videos from me dealing with nature-based math, literacy, art, science. And you can join, you can get your 15% off on 1 month, right? If you just want to test it out for a month, see how it goes, and then join month by month. Or you can get that 15% off, lock in savings for a year. So there will be a little card that comes up above my head that you can click on to join the membership, or there's also an attachment if you check out the attachments section under this video. So please consider joining us for the membership. And then do not join us here next week because I am taking a couple weeks off to enjoy the holidays, enjoy my family coming in from the East Coast to visit. And then I will see you here again in January, where we will be talking about 3 common early childhood practices that I am encouraging you to ditch in favor of more nature-based constructivist practices. I will see you in January.